Hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Social Media Strategies for Reaching Teens with Prevention Messages. My name is Zach Stewart, and I'll be your producer for today's event. Before we get started, I'm just going to go over a couple housekeeping slides. You should now be hearing the audio broadcast, and audio is provided via your computer speakers for today's event, but if you need it via phone, please just let me know in the All Questions box, and I will get you connected. This webinar is being recorded, and the recording will be available after the event. This training is supported by the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, SAMHSA, and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. The contents of this presentation do not necessarily reflect the views or policies of SAMHSA, the Center for Mental Health Services, the Center for Substance Abuse Treatment, the Center for Substance Abuse Prevention, or DHHS. The training should not be considered a substitute for individualized client care and treatment decisions. We are providing captioning for this webinar. Click the link on your screen to access live captions. We will also provide this link in the All Questions box throughout the event for the benefit of individuals arriving later. Captions will open in a new window or tab that you can position anywhere you like on your screen, and you can adjust the size, color, and speed of those captions. Your line will be muted throughout today's presentation, but we have several options for interactivity with our presenters. If you have any questions for our presenters, please use the chat box, and we'll address them throughout today's presentation as well as at the end. If you need technical support at any time, you can also type your questions in that box. We'll be happy to help you right away. We'll troubleshoot your issue right in that box. And you can also raise your hand. If you go to the top of your screen above the slides, there looks a little icon with the person that's raising their hand. You can click on that or click the downward arrows to access any of the other options, and I can assist you. And with that, I will pass things over to my colleague, Candace Russell, with the BHHIV TAC staff. Candace, can you verify you're off mute?
Yep, I'm here. Awesome. Good afternoon, everyone. I will be your moderator today. Welcome to our webinar, Social Media Strategies for Reaching Teens with Prevention Messages. Our first speaker today is going to be Carlos Morales. He's the founder of Viva Technology, LLC. He has over 18 years of experience in the fields of technology and prevention. And Carlos has also developed a booklet called Social Media or Social Mania, which is a parent's guide that can help bring kids and their parents together. So, Carlos, if you're ready, I will let you take it away. Oh, I think you're on mute, Carlos.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
All right, awesome. Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to this wonderful webinar. I'm very excited actually about this webinar because, I'm going to be talking just for a few minutes, but the real treat is going to come from the program called Real Talk. They're going to be talking about how they use social media to reach teens. And so, but before we start, I wanted to sort of actually have a sense in terms of, where you're coming from. I see that we have Adam, we have Jasmine, Erika, Ray, Asia, Chase. So, welcome everyone. Thank you for being here, and I know you're busy and taking a few minutes out of your busy schedule. Erika, you're from San Francisco, California. Awesome. And so, today, what I wanted to have a sense, I got a couple of questions for you that I think you were able to see when you were in the lobby. But one of the things that I wanted to, we got Oakland, New Orleans, Wilmington. Wow. Great. Charleston, South Carolina, New York. So we have people from all over. So this is awesome. And so I wanted to ask you a couple of questions and see if you're, what are your thoughts in regards to this. Number one is, what are the social media platforms that you're using right now to reach teens online? If you can actually type it in the chat box, that would be awesome. And also, what's the number one struggle you're having right now in using social media to effectively reach teenagers? I want to have a sense of, I want to get a sense from you in terms of the answer to those questions. If you have attended webinars that I've done before, you know that I like to actually engage with you. I like to have a discussion. And so if you can tell me a little bit about the platform that you're using and and some of the problems that you're actually having in reaching teens, that would be great. So Erika, you're using Facebook. Ray, you say Facebook and Instagram. Okay, so, is Facebook working out for you? Is that producing some results? Or Instagram, let us know in the chat box what kind of results you've gotten. Adam, you use Facebook, Instagram, and sometimes Snapchat, okay? That's good. Those are good platforms, and we're going to be talking a little bit more about that in terms of what would be the right platform for you to use when you're trying to reach teens. Asia, you are using Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, gathering content that they're interested in and trying to find ways to capture their attention spans to get engagement. Great. So that's probably most of everyone's goals in here, is to actually get engagement. If you are getting engagement from the teens that you're reaching, let us know if you are, and which platform is the one that you're using that is actually producing that type of results. Okay, Ray, we're having a hard time engaging and connecting with younger people. Okay, Jasmine, the platform we will be using is YouTube and Instagram, and we'll begin to use a Snapchat. Okay, great. I'm glad that you are going to be using videos. Yes, YouTube is actually a great platform to reach teenagers as well. We have Ariel, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. So those are the platforms that you're using. Lindsay, we use Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, but our biggest challenge is reaching audiences who are in their teens. Most of our followers are staff age or older. Well, this actually has to do about targeting. I'm great that you're bringing that up because, sometimes we might have programs in which we have a lot of followers or we have some followers, but most of those followers are staff, right? And that particular platform that we use is not necessarily for them, but it's for the audience that we want to reach. So what does that mean? What do we need to do on our end to make sure that we position a platform, our messages, to actually reach the right audience? And these are some of the things that we have discussed in previous webinars because it's key. If you are creating content and you put it in a platform where most of the people that are following are, from, let's say, 22 and over, or, 21 and over, and you're trying to reach, from 13 to 19 years old, then that means that you are only, you're targeting the wrong audience, right? And so the question that I would ask is, what kind of strategy do you have in order for you to target the right audience? Have you optimized your social media platform to let them know that the audience that you want to reach is, 13 to 19 years old? There are ways that you can do that. And so this is great that you're bringing that up because there are things that we can fix, fairly quickly to make sure that, the platform starts actually optimizing themselves to position your message or to show your message to a younger audience based on the audience that you tell them to reach. So, Ray, you're having the same issue as Lindsay. Yes. And so, Jasmine, I agree the material that we put out has to capture the attention of the right audience. Ricardo, hello, I'm here. Hello, Ricardo, welcome. Welcome to this webinar. So, Adam, another issue is keeping youth engaged. Something we are not or going to tell on them. I try to explain to our youth that we engage is that we will never judge anyone, but how often do you believe adults? Well, most of your questions, if not all, are going to be answered in this webinar because you're going to actually see examples how a program that actually reach and work with teens, how they position their messages, okay? And one of the things that I'm just going to say this is that the first thing that you need to do is make sure that you have the audience that you're trying to reach is part of the content creation of the marketing strategy team because they're going to be the one telling you what would be the best way for you to position your messaging, okay? So that's one of the things that is very important, because if you have a whole bunch of adults trying to create messages and, trying to reach teens, but you don't understand the culture, you understand the language, then you actually are missing a huge opportunity there. It's very hard for you to connect with them if you don't have someone from that audience telling you how to do it, okay? So we're going to be talking about that. So, Adam, there's the well-engaged youth, but as far as reaching and growing numbers, it's a challenge. Right, so you might have a little bit of engagement, but you haven't been able to actually surpass that, right? You haven't been able to extend your reach. So there are ways of you doing that, and maybe towards the end of the webinar, I'll touch a little bit on how to do that, right? But remember that we have talked throughout the whole social media series that we've done in the last couple of months. We talked about increasing numbers. We talked about even spending a little bit of money to make sure that your message is being seen by the right audience. So, I want you to go back to some of the things that we talked about and see if you can start implementing some of those strategies. Again, remember that you can always request technical assistance as well, okay? So we can help you do a lot of these things that you're struggling with, okay? So that's the point. We don't want you to leave the webinar and then a few months from now, you're still having the same issue. We want to make sure that we help you so you can actually, from 3, 4, 5 months from now, you're in a different position. And because you're growing, you might have different issues, different problems. But that's because you have growth. And so that's what that's the goal. That's what we do in this. And so, okay, we're going to actually do a couple of more here. Jasmine, one of the strategies that we have, it's use. Okay, so a social media marketing specialist should understand the younger culture and trends. Yes, and so that's got to be part of what you need to have in place. Whoever is going to be actually in charge of your messaging, of creating the message, of making sure that you start branding your program in different platforms, they need to understand the culture. They need to understand if you're trying to reach teens, they need to understand them. And it's important that you relate to them. Because if you're developing messages, and those messages have nothing to do with how they live their lives, they have nothing to do with the things they're interested about, then of course there's not going to be any relevance. Of course there's not going to be an engagement because they're not going to see it, they're not going to comment, they're not going to care, and most likely you're not going to grow your following. And so part of those things are very important. So I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that we're able to have this conversation, because you're actually going to see some very cool examples in how you can improve your reach to teenagers when it comes about using social media and creating prevention messages, all right? So let's start with today's objective. Okay, so we're going to be talking about 4 things today. All right, number 1, I want to make sure that you understand the importance of learning how teens use social media, all right? We might have a perception based on the way that we use social media as adults, which is totally different than the way that teens use social media. Okay, so we're going to be talking about that. Then we're going to be talking about developing effective social media strategies to get teens engaged. Now, the first 2 portions of it, you're going to see a lot of it when the program Real Talk actually comes in and they give you examples. Okay, but number 3 and number 4, these are the ones that I'm going to be starting talking about in the next few slides. So identifying 3 key components to connect with teens online, I'll be talking about that, and then how we can actually create strategies using Instagram. Why Instagram? Because Instagram is one of the platforms that, it's one of the most popular platforms that teenagers are using, okay? So we'll give you some actionable strategies that you can use and implement right away, all right? And then after that, you actually start seeing some very cool examples from Real Talk. All right, I guess we're ready to start. Remember, if you have any questions, you're free to ask them. I want to make sure that this is a dialogue. If we're running out of time, so I'll make sure that I'll be watching that as well. So we'll move on, and I'll let you know that too. So let's go ahead and now continue with the next presentation. Okay, so the next slide here. Okay, so connecting with teens on social media. One thing that I want you to make sure they understand is that, this is some of the things that we've talked also in some of the previous webinars, is think about this. Teenagers spend about 9 hours a day on social media. 9 hours a day. Now, if I ask you, how many hours a day do you spend on social media? what will be the average? If you want to type that in the chat box, I'd like to know, you as an adult, how many hours do you spend a day on social media? Let's see some answers here. Steven, just 1 hour. Wow. All right. Asia, 5 to 6. Giovanna, 5. Ricardo, about 3 to 4. Lawrence, 3 to 4. Ray, too many. Adam, 4 to 6. Kat, 5 to 6. So we have an average of about, between 4 and 6 hours here. Lindsay, I spend time throughout the day, usually 4 to 6 hours. Okay. Erika, 6 to 7. Erika Reyes, 6 to 7 hours. All right. So I, as an adult, I spend probably, probably around 9 to 10 hours, okay, a day. And probably a little bit more than that is because of the nature of my work. I do a lot of work that has to do with social media and technology, so I spend quite a bit of time. And so remember that the number of hours that you spend on a daily basis has to do in how you use social media on a personal level, right? So if teams are spending about 9 hours a day, it's because social media is part of their life. It's part of the it's part of their communication. It's part of their social life. And so that's a very integral part of how they live on a daily basis, okay? So organizations have the opportunity to capitalize on this trend by providing value to the demographic. But often the approach that they use is actually wrong, okay? So I'm going to be talking about the 3 key components that you can use to connect with teams on social media, all right? By learning about these 3 key components, you can actually make smarter marketing decisions when reaching out and promoting prevention messages. So that's the goal. That's why I actually want to make sure that, we'll cover these very important components when it comes to creating messages on social media for teams. So let me ask you this then, before I actually move on to the next slide. How many of you, when you wake up in the morning, the first thing that you do is grab your phone and start looking at your social media? If you do that, type yes. If you don't do it, type no. So how many of you? Okay, yes. All right, so I'm not the only one. Okay, so Ray, you said no. So a lot of yes. So the first thing that you do, you get up in the morning, right? And you grab this, and you start scrolling down and looking at your smartphone, looking at your social media. Stephen, no. Carolyn, no. Awesome for you. Now, look at how we, as an adult, are, are sort of actually communicating, keeping up with the news, looking at other social media profiles. Look at how social media is so integrated into our lives that the first thing that we do is just grab our cell phone and start looking at social media. Start looking at what other people are doing, right? Or, now think about the way teenagers use it. Think about that this is actually the technology that they have grown up with, and this is the only way of them learning or knowing and how to communicate with each other. So if we as an adult have been able to adapt that, because we were not raised that way, we did not grow up with the technology that we actually are using on a daily basis, but we've been able to actually adapt it really quickly. So if we are adapting it really quickly and we're spending a considerable amount of time on a daily basis in using social media, now think about teenagers. It's totally logical that they're going to be actually using social media heavily, right? Because that's the way that actually they communicate with each other. When they go to school, they use technology to learn. When they come back home, they use technology to communicate with each other. And they use technology to entertain each other. And so it's very normal to actually expect that. The key here is, how do we take advantage of that if we're actually trying to promote prevention messages, because we know that teenagers are using social media. We know they're there. So how do we keep them engaged? How do we get them engaged? And how do we actually make them interested in a subject that is so hard to sell? And so that's the idea of this webinar, and that hopefully will be able to answer that question as you see some of the examples that we're going to be showing you in the next few minutes, all right? Okay, so what we talked about, the first component that is important that you know, and in terms of actually connecting with teams, number one is know where to look, all right? I'm actually showing you a slide here of some very cool stats when it comes to social media. Now, if you look at this, despite the Snapchat's dominance, Facebook continues to be one of the most popular social media and networking sites used by teenagers and young adults. Keep in mind this. We're talking about age 12 to 24 years old in 2017, okay? Now, here's one thing that I always, people say, well, teens are not using Facebook. They're actually leaving Facebook. They're more into Snapchat and Instagram. That is correct. And here's actually how I want you to think about Facebook when it comes to trying to reach teens. A total of 76% of respondents, to this particular survey, as you can see, they currently use Facebook. They followed by Instagram, used with a 73% share. Yet, when teens, whose average was 16 years old, rated the social networking sites or the social media, all right, they actually, in terms of importance, they think that Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter are the most important social networking sites because those are the sites that they use to engage with each other. But you still have teenagers that might have an account in Facebook, and there are teenagers that go to Facebook to look at content, but that's not the platform that they use to engage. That's not the platform that they use to share content, to comment, to talk to each other. And so from the marketing standpoint, if I were to create a campaign for teenagers, I will use Instagram, right? Because that's one of the apps that they're using to communicate with each other, to engage with each other. But I will use Facebook as well because Facebook allows me to reach an older population who actually has an influence over teenagers. So from the strategic point of view, one of the things I always say to organization grantees, I know that you hear a lot and you repeat it. Well, teenagers are not on Facebook. Teenagers are not there anymore. Why should I be there? Yes, but don't forget that teenagers have lives. They have people around them. And Facebook is the right platform to actually reach those older people that actually are around those teenagers, to influence them so they can influence their kids. And so from the strategy point of view, it makes sense for you to have a presence in Facebook, okay, making sure that you have an older audience and maybe the message is going to be a little bit different, and then you have a presence in Instagram, right, because that's where there are, okay? So the first thing that you need to know is know where to look, know which platforms to use, and which strategy you're going to actually be using for each of those platforms. As you know, Instagram is a visual app. Facebook, actually, you can do graphics, you can do text, you can do video. And Instagram is more of a graphic and video app. And so the message have to be positioned totally different. All right? All right, so let's actually go to component number 2, create personalized and short content. And this is one of the things that I want to highlight. If I actually have a message and I post it on Facebook because my audience, which is an older audience, 23, 24, and above, I actually have the ability to actually write a very long post on Facebook, right? So, but if I'm actually reaching teenagers, I know that most likely that's not going to work. Instagram or Snapchat, for example, don't allow me to do that in a way that what they're looking for is for engagement. So the best way for me to do that is actually create, small pieces of content, create graphics, and then we create, 3 or 4 sentences that we can put on top of that graphic. And that's the text that you use. So you have to divide your content, okay? So again, what you're doing is just creating content and positioning your message based on the platform that you're using, based on the audience that you're reaching, all right? So it's very important. Keep in mind that we have an average of 8 seconds of attention span. 8 seconds, right? And, and we're trying to get people's attention. If our strategy is based on that, then we better make sure that the content that we're producing is good content that will actually get people attention, because we only have about 8 seconds. That's it, right? Remember that people are scrolling, looking for content that they're interested about. Once they find that content, they stop, right? And so, having said that, when we look at key component number 2, creating content, okay, personalize it to the audience that you're reaching, And making sure that it's short, in this case for teenagers, is one of the good strategies that you will see that will produce good results. Again, you're going to see how actually this is working out for this program, Real Talk. Okay? All right. Chase, my question is, how do you get used to see your Instagram and Snapchat content without following a bunch of random youth? Okay? So that is a great question. And here's part of it. A lot of it, one thing that you want to make sure is that the account that you have in Instagram, okay, is a business account. Now, one of the things that I've seen when I actually review some of the social media accounts from organizations that are using Instagram, for example, is that they don't realize that the account that they have is a profile. And so basically with that, there comes a lot of limitations. Because as a profile, there's not so much that you can do to optimize it to reach a specific audience. But if you have a business account, from the business standpoint, Instagram allows you to optimize it, making sure that the message that you are producing reaches the audience that you're telling it to be interested in your content. Okay? So that's the number one thing, is looking at your Instagram account, are you using it as a profile or are you using it as a business account? And so if you're using it as a business account, you'll be able to actually find more features within the settings in which you will be able to tell Instagram, look, this is the audience that I want to see my content, okay? And so without necessarily you following a whole bunch of people, okay? So that's number one thing. That's the one thing that I would ask, okay? Also, one of the things is that, and we're getting a little bit into strategies that I will talk about in the next few slides. But as you are creating content, you have the opportunity to actually use hashtags in order for that content to be discovered. So I'll just leave it at that right now because I'm going to be talking about it in a few more minutes in the next few slides, okay? Does a business account have a fee? No. The business account is free. Think of it as when you create a Facebook profile, you can create also a Facebook business page. The Facebook business page is free. Your Instagram business account is totally free. So you're not paying to set that up, okay? You have the ability to convert your profile into a business account, which is really nice because when you do that, then you start looking at all the stats. You start looking at whether your content is being seen by the right people. That's one of the things that you must do, because if you keep using an Instagram profile and if you're not looking at the stats because, it doesn't give it to you because it's a profile, then there's no way for you to know how to improve your content. There's no way for you to know if you're reaching the right audience or not, okay? So that's one of the first things that you want to make sure that you watch for, that you actually go into your account and see if you have a profile or a business account. For the most part, when you create a business account in Instagram, you will actually have the name of your account right below your logo, right below your graphic, okay? And so make sure that you pay attention to that as well, okay? Ray, do the additional features require payment to get boosted? No, there are features that actually you can use within your business account in Instagram that don't require to get boosted. Boosting is pretty much when you pay, whether it's $3, $4, or $5 or more, to make sure that your message gets seen, by more people. And you actually, within the boosting, you tell your platform, depending on the amount of money that you're paying, like if you're paying $5, Instagram or Facebook might tell you, okay, $5 you're going to be able to reach 1,000 people. $10 you're going to be able to reach 2,000 people. So you will be able to see that in real time before you actually, click boost and they charge your credit card. They will tell you exactly how many people is estimated for you to reach, depending on the amount of money that you're spending. Okay. And boosting actually works really nice when you do it correctly and you actually target the right audience as well. So there's another way to actually get quick positioning in your message and get more followers as well. All right. Now, keep in mind all the things that I'm talking about. If you want to actually take notes, write them down, okay? And then as I'm talking about all these things, because we don't have a lot of time, it's difficult for us to go into more in depth. But you can request free technical assistance, so we can go into more depth and I can help you out, all right? Keep that in mind. Okay, let's actually go with the third component here, is that you want to make your content highly shareable, okay? So making sure that your content is highly shareable is that you got to think about what's going to be the message. Is the message going to be entertaining? Okay, think about this. So teens use social media to communicate with peers, right? For them, social media is a way to express themselves and share interesting messages with their friends. So producing content that aims to be anything other than shareable isn't going to get the best results. Okay, so you have to actually get into their minds, into the put yourself in their shoes. What's the reason that they use Instagram? What's the number one reason? They use it to communicate with their friends, but they use it also to engage with them, right? And the reason that they engage with them is because Instagram as an app is a visual app. And so they're actually looking at content that is visual, it's appealing, it's engaging, it touches their mind, it touches their heart, it touches their interest. So if we're actually talking about bringing prevention in, okay, how do we do that? How do we actually create messages that actually touches their mind, touches their heart, make them laugh, and it's shareable? They share with their friends. And so there are ways of doing it, and you're going to get to see it in a few more minutes. See how I'm keeping the momentum and the excitement? That's part of what I'm doing here, all right? So this is one of the things that is important for you to see or to realize that Instagram, don't use Instagram as any other platform and start actually putting, prevention messages that it's like another brochure. No, you have to be able to be creative in the way that you're actually going to position your program there, because the app itself, the platform itself, needs, allows you to do that, allows you to create videos and allows you to create graphics. You want to make sure that you spend some time, thinking about what messages you're going to actually put in that platform. All right, so there got to be a planning and strategy behind it. You got to take some time. If you take some time, if you get together and spend a couple of hours to make sure that you actually know exactly what you want to do, it's going to pay off, all right? But if I come and ask you, well, what's your plan? What's your strategy? How is it that you're creating content? And there's nothing behind it, and you're telling me that you're not getting good results, well, the first thing I'm going to say, well, you have no strategy. You have no content strategy. So you're not going to actually get good results because there's nothing that will back that up. So there's not a plan behind it, all right? All right. Now, let's talk a little bit about the next section here that I'm going to be talking about is we're talking about key components. Now, I'm going to actually give you actionable strategies that you can use if in Instagram, if that's one of the platforms that you're using to reach teenagers, all right? So I'm going to give you 4. And this is going to be the end of my section right now. So this is going to give you 4, so just bear with me. So number 1, you want to create current, creative, and useful content. This is what I'm actually telling you right now is based on a study, okay, conducted by Facebook to about 12,000 teenagers and young adults. Here's how Instagram is described to them. So if you look at it, they actually use Instagram for current content. About 42% of them, they think that Instagram provides current content. About 40% it's friendly. They think about Instagram being friendly. Okay, 39% trendy, and so if you think about useful, okay, 32% of them think that Instagram is one of the reasons they use it, right, is because they produce useful content or they see useful content. Then we have creative, 37%, and then we got exciting, 31%. So you knowing that, or me as a strategist, knowing this, then this is another way that you can think about, okay, my God, I'm using Instagram, and I know that teenagers are using it, and this is what teenagers are telling me they're interested about when it comes to content. So how do you think you're going to apply that now when you sit together with your team and you're trying to actually strategize in how you're going to promote your prevention messages? You already know. The data is going to back you up. The data is already there telling you exactly the content that you need to produce. So if you can share a perspective that only you can offer, you can more likely connect with the teens and young adults on Instagram, okay? Now, the other thing that you can do is inspire the moment. Teens and young adults in this study describe Instagram, as I said, as current 42%, creative 37%, and useful 32%. Hence, they would expect such content from brands and organizations on Instagram, right? So those are the 2 things that you want to make sure that you take into consideration is showcase what makes you special, all right? in meaning is positioning your brand. Your brand has to be different than everybody else's, right? You're unique as an organization, as a program, right? So what makes you special? So making sure that you actually are sharing content that they will not see anywhere else is key. And number two, then actually inspire the moment, right? Look at the type of content they're actually interested in based on the stats that I'm showing you right now, okay? All right, so let's actually go to the number two strategy here. You cannot ignore Instagram stories. This is one of the cool things that I love about Instagram, okay? And so basically, I'm going to actually read this to you, and then I'm going to ask a couple of questions in regards to this. So stories allow you to upload videos, pictures, and even photos, right? And videos stored on your camera roll that play like a slideshow from everyone you follow at the top of your Instagram. If you can see that in the screenshot here, this is the screenshot of my Instagram account. You can see that my name is right there. This is a picture of me, and then I have the stories of the people that I follow, okay? Now, the stories only last for 24 hours, and after that, they disappear. Now, here's what happened. What Instagram is seeing now is that a lot of people are rather engaging more with the stories than actually the graphics and posts themselves. So stories is another great component for you to start engaging with teens. And so if you are actually, you grab some pictures, you actually take like a short video of some of the things that you're doing to engage them, or even sort of a behind the scenes about a specific, event that you're having with teenagers, and you combine it with pictures of some of the teens that are part of your program, and you create a very cool story, and then you share that, you'll see that, your engagement level might go up because you're presenting your message in a very different way, okay? So that's one of the things that I always say, you cannot ignore Instagram stories. And so making sure that you know all the different features within the platform is key in order for you to be able to actually make sure that you take advantage of all those things that will allow you to create messages in so many different formats, okay? All right, so let's see, any questions or concerns that you have so far? Because I have one more point that I want to share with you, and then I'm going to turn it over to Real Talk. Let me actually just say something here. Content that is shared to stories also won't appear in your profile, okay? So once you actually share content on your stories, they're not going to be showing up on your profile. They're going to be part of your stories. They're going to be part of the top area here that I'm showing you on the screenshot. So here's one thing, an interesting statistics about the importance of using Instagram stories. There's a study that actually was done by TechCrunch, which is a company, there's a technology company that actually does a lot of studies in regards to the use of technology and social media. One of the things that they said is Instagram stories generated on average 35% more views for brands and organizations than Snapchat stories, according to a mobile video platform, okay? 1 in 5 Instagram stories posted, okay? And this is actually, one thing that I want to make sure that you keep in mind. 1 in 5 Instagram stories posted by a business receives a direct message reply. Here's one of the things that when we talk about engagement and we talk about how teens can engage directly with us, knowing these numbers allows us to expand our capabilities and start thinking about, if I'm creating stories, if actually messages that are relevant to them, I know that I have a very high probability that actually teens are going to be reaching out to me directly by direct messages. So as you are learning how to use the platform, you'll start discovering so many ways in that teens can start engaging with you, okay? So I wanted to share this with you because this is very important that you know exactly, if you're using Instagram, try to get familiar with the app itself so you're able to know all, how you can use it in so many ways that will allow you to reach more of your audience. And not only that, but engage with them more effectively, okay? So my last 4, so I got 2 more. So number 3, use hashtags and location tag to drive engagement. This is one of the things that I want to make sure that you understand this. Is when you're using hashtags, okay, unlike any other platform, hashtags are a norm on Instagram. Using hashtag and location tag helps people discover your Instagram post. When studying the Instagram accounts of the top 100 global brands, Simply Measure, it's a company, found that 88% of their posts include at least one hashtag. In the same study, Simply Measure found that posts with at least one hashtag generated an average of 13% more engagement. Okay, you see what I'm saying? And so when you start looking at that, it's basically hashtag is a way for people to discover your content, okay? And while posts with a location tag receive an average of 29% more engagement. So if you combine hashtag with a location tag and more, if you are trying to promote a local program, what happens is as people are actually typing all this hashtag, they will be able to discover your content. The purpose of hashtag is for people to discover your content because basically you put the pound sign and then the name of a specific keyword, a specific words or phrases that people are using on Instagram. And so when you start learning all the different strategies, you start combining them and you start seeing all the different results based on strategies that have proven to be effective, okay? All right, so one of the things that I wanted to make sure is that you know the importance of using hashtag. You know, if you request the aid, we can actually go and help you and get more and provide more in-depth information about hashtag and location tags and how they can actually be incorporated into your content and be effectively. Usually for the most part, having between 8, 9, or 10 hashtags is what they recommend. There was a study that they've done in which actually posts that posts that actually had between 8 to 10 hashtags, they actually produce very good engagement or they produce very good results. Their content were discovered more. But as you actually go more than that, what happens is basically, Instagram will start looking at that and start looking at that more as a spam, right? And so you run the risk into that. You run the risk that your content might not be showing at all when you actually abuse the number of hashtags. So just keep that in mind as well. Okay, and number 4, do video as part of your content strategy. This is something that I cannot stress enough. We've talked about this in terms of the importance of using video. When you look at the stats here, while it might seem that images are still the best content type on Instagram, there are some observations that suggest that video might become the best content type soon. So keep this in mind. Top publishers on average get more likes on their images, but more comments on their videos. So think about this. So they get more likes on their images, but they get more comments on the videos because what videos are engaging, right? And so the average engagement on video is growing faster than the average engagement on images, okay? So make sure that, you pay attention to that as well. So, so when you start looking at this and you start having a combination of images and videos, all right, and you actually can look, if you have an Instagram business account, you'll be able to see those stats, all right, because the platform will allow you to see it. It will give it to you. And so, but if you do a combination of both, you start seeing also a lot more views and a lot more engagement as long as the content is relevant, okay? So with that, this is actually the last section of my portion of this webinar. And so with this, I'm going to actually turn it over to Real Talk, who's going to come and actually show you how they're actually using social media and how they're positioning the programs and how they're positioning their messages, all right? So there we go.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much. And Carlos, thank you for a great introduction to some of the things that we're going to talk about. So today, you might notice, unfortunately, we are going to be presenting on behalf of a couple of our youth. So 2 of our teams who created this presentation are unfortunately unable to be here with us today. And so Jenny and I are going to introduce ourselves, and we're going to do our best to stand in and give you the youth perspective on this as much as possible. So I am Hannah Gashat, and I will be presenting on behalf of Alaya today.
And my name is Jenny Suchan, and I am presenting for Noah Gonzalez.
All right. So, and great questions, by the way, as well. Feel free to continue. So we're going to tell you first just a little bit about Real Talk. So our target audience is youth, at-risk youth age 13 to 17. Most of our youth are Black or Latino. We do work with youth up to age 24. The teams are mostly in charge of Real Talk. So we are 100% youth-driven, no adultism. As Carlos said before, you're going to want to ask the teens because regardless of how in touch you feel like you might be with youth culture or with young people or how young you might be, you don't know because things change so incredibly quickly. So the youth, Alaya wanted to talk about how they have advised the adults on best approaches. So we asked them about things like, where should we hold groups? What are the risk behaviors that are going on and how to reach them? They do things, they help us with their research, as they said. Our Teen Adult Coalition is one of the big things. The youth come and advise other providers on things like their social media pages or their flyers. So let's say you have a flyer that has a lot of words on it. The teens can tell you right away that that's not going to work. So there's things that we do like that. We are a capacity building grant, and we are an evidence-based intervention, as you can see. So for regular groups, they create things like iStories, so we do use Promise, if any of you are familiar with that. Real Talk does iStories, which have to do with risk behaviors. They bring it to them, and then they share them via social media. So whether that be videos, cartoons. Recently, we've been doing a lot with music, so doing those iStories with music. They do trainings for adults, so our youth do a lot where they are training adults on things like how to use Snapchat, how to use social media or YouTube. The tech group that actually Noah and Alaya are both a part of, where they meet twice a week, and they actually on our social media. So as you can see on the slide above, that is a completely youth-created website, and I encourage you to go and take a look at it because the youth have done a lot of work on that in showing kind of where they want to, what they want to talk about, what's important. Those things are all on our Facebook page, but also on our youth-created website. So the tech group does things on a regular basis where they are creating posts. They are talking about what is hot right now, what is not. They're picking up on the trends because the things change constantly. So, and I wanted to touch upon a little bit of, there was a question earlier about how do you get the youth to not think you're a narc. Unfortunately, it takes time. It takes a lot of time and a lot just repetition of that non-judgmental behavior, that, you know, accepting them for who they are, not asking them to change their language, to change their behavior, but just accepting them. And you often see that the behavior change comes. Okay.
Right, and so Noah Gonzalez wanted to talk about the effective social media strategies that Real Talk use to get their posts, get their information out there to other youth. And so one thing that Carlos mentioned was using different platforms, several platforms. So what we use is a program called Hootsuite, and Hootsuite enables you to post on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can schedule ahead of time. You could post all of the same content to every single platform, so it reaches everything. Another great thing about this Hootsuite program is that it looks at the analytics of the people who you follow, the demographic that you are trying to reach, and it schedules based when they are most active for them to see those statuses and posts that you have. So that is a great thing that is used to reach those teens. Another way is looking on Facebook, looking at those analytics and seeing what time teens are on, because sometimes when we're at work and we're posting things, it's not the same time that teens are going to be on. So if you look at the graph that is on the slide, it's around the afternoon, maybe during lunchtime when they're in school, or maybe it's after school around 5 p.m., which is when they are maybe hanging out with their friends. Those are the times that are great times to post. And this is not static either. It's good to always check on the times because they're going to be different. In the summer, it's going to look different. During holidays, when they're not in school, it's also going to be different. So keeping that up to date and always checking when is the best time to schedule these posts.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to just interject a little bit. I have a couple of questions while you were talking, and I wanted to make sure that we answered this right now. Is that one of the questions is, what is actually the social media platform that you guys use, and how old are the youth working on Real Talk?
So the specific social media platforms that we use are Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter. For Hootsuite specifically, it can post on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. But we also use other forms of social media, such as Snapchat, YouTube for our videos. And the teams that are working in tech groups, they have been in the program usually they should be in the program for 2 years, and then they get elevated into tech groups where they can get stipends for the work that they do, and they're usually, the age varies depending on how long they've been in the program. Usually it's 16 to 18 though.
Okay. Thank you. And the other question is, and I'm going to actually type it in here, is because they're asking what is the website address for the Real Talk. And so I'm going to type it in the chat box, which is www.realtalk1317.com. Is that correct?
Yeah. Thank you, Carlos.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, ladies. I'm sorry to interject, but I wanted to make sure to answer these two questions as they're coming in. So thank you.
No, we appreciate it.
Sure.
So next we talk about the information that we post. So it's really important to have things like that teens would be interested, such as current events that you were talking about, Carlos, earlier, and events that are coming up that teens can go to, things that they might be interested in inviting other friends to. And the other content that we like to bring up, because we are talking about HIV and STD and pregnancy prevention, is sliding those messages into it as well. So providing short little content where teens can understand more facts about what they might not be able to get in school, get online through a reputable source. So that, and we also spread our stories as well through social media. And Hannah's going to be talking about more how we use that content and what that content looks like to get the teens more engaged in it.
All right, so Alaya had picked these as some examples of good social media strategies. She had a couple on there as well that didn't quite pass the censor. So those included things like the eggplant emoji, for those of you that are familiar with that, and SpongeBob, because SpongeBob seems to be a meme that just continues to give us more and more content constantly. So the teams wanted to talk about why they react to things, why they click on it, why they like it. One of the things is language. So if it sounds like an adult wrote the post, or it sounds like a meme that an adult made, they will be able to notice. They also said that, you know, if you try to clean it up, they're going to tune it out. So don't try to censor it. And I know this can be challenging for organizations. Like I said, this includes profanity. You know, the memes that get a lot of likes and a lot of hits are ones that really either use profanity, sexual innuendo, and also pop culture. So as here you can see, we've got references to Lil Wayne, we've got Oprah, so people that they recognize. So they said if you're posting on Facebook, if you don't have a picture or a video, they're not going to click, they're not going to look at it necessarily. If it's boring, they won't watch it or look at it. Don't post boring stuff. This is a quote. Don't post boring stuff unless you make it funny. So it has to be funny. There has to be something that you know, it attracts them to it. Celebrities are some of those things, which I did mention, and paying attention to the most current memes. This requires spending some time on social media. So when we don't have our youth, which we don't have them as much, of course, as we would like, we do have to post things from time to time, which means that we have to pay attention to what is hot, what memes are cool, because it goes really, really quickly, as I'm sure you're all familiar with. It can be one day something is, you know, really, really cool, and the next day it's not funny anymore. The story's gone. It's over. Ask the teams. Ask them. Again, this has been mentioned, and I can't stress it enough. You know, they're the ones who have their fingers on the pulse. They know what is. It seems like a very simple thing, and it actually can sometimes require more work to get the youth there with transportation and all those things. But asking them what is important to them and what is going on is really, really important. Fill filters is something too, using Snapchat filters. They pay attention to those. That's funny to them. That's engaging to them. You've got to find the right hashtags with the pictures, which I know Carlos was talking about a little bit earlier, but finding those hashtags that are going to get people to look at your stuff. Again, ask the teams. One thing, too, that we struggled with a little bit in the beginning was we were following a lot more people than were following us, especially on Instagram, and that to them is like a tough. That makes it look like we're not it at all. So that's something too to keep in mind, which I know can again be a challenge, but it is something that they have certainly mentioned. All right, and now we're going to share with you. Jenny's going to talk a little bit about a recruitment video that the youth created, and excuse me a second, and then we're going to show it to you.
All right, so this video, the Real Talk recruitment video, was created by the teens in Real Talk. Specifically, Noah and a few others have worked on this. And this is what makes it engaging. Teens want to come to our program because they know that this whole video was produced by them. The footage was produced by them, the editing, figuring out what music, the song that's going to play, it was written by them. Teens, they like the music, they'll be interested. It's going to be eye-catching, and it's something that they want to keep building on. So seeing that these teens are using their skills and building those skills that they might not learn in other places attracts other teens to this program. So that is what they did to kind of put it all in this little snippet to recruit more teens. So if Zach could pull up that video for us, please.
Yes, it is going to come up on your screen right now where the slides are. I just want to remind everyone, if you're on the phone, you're going to have to turn up your computer speakers because the volume will only play from your computer speakers. And then once the video has ended, you're just going to want to turn your computer speakers back down.
Testing, 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 testing. We got real talk, we got testing, we got real talk.
We educate teens in our community on safe sex and how to not spread STDs or get STDs and HIV.
So one of my favorite things to do with Real Talk is we'll go out to community walks or we'll go out to events and we'll set up a table and we'll give everyone and their moms free condoms. Like literally people and their moms come up and grab free condoms. It's kind of funny sometimes.
You know I'm gonna run it up.
I learned how to use technology.
So what I learned in Real Talk is to influence other teens and to having protective sex and using a condom at all times so they can stay safe.
We just spread information, we hand out pamphlets, and we spread the word on safe sex, STIs, how to stay clear from getting HIV, AIDS, and we even cover a little bit of substance abuse stuff. It's just great people all around. I got some mentors here I can come to if I ever feel like I'm in some shit in my life and there's someone I need to talk to.
All right. Thanks, Zach. All right. Excellent.
Right, so while that's getting back to that slide, so the teens really wanted to make this video because, as Carlos was talking about earlier, when you're writing a lot of things on Facebook or Instagram, if the messages are too long, teens are going to tune it out. They don't want to read something that is incredibly long or might take up too much of their attention. So that is why we had that video, because it is easy to watch. There's the music in the background, and they won't have to read a whole long paragraph or status about what Real Talk is about. And they also see people like them, teens like them are in this program. So that is what attracts them to it. Okay. So again, leading up to that point, it's this is reaching our teens. So our teens, maybe they're sharing it to others, and it is going around the community in the capital region of New York. So this is also emphasized by using youth culture, youth language. So again, Hannah was talking about using that slang, using curses, things that teens can relate to. And again, more successes are hitting those trends. We have to be on top of these things because it can quickly be not funny. It's not as popular anymore. So that is why we keep track of it. So something that Real Talk does, we have events where we do testing. And what happens during these events is we have our tech group teams kind of advertise or post things talking about that event. And we try to get the message out so teens can come, they can get more knowledge about the STDs and STIs, also get tested, get more materials. And this is shown to be really successful by posting on social media because we'll have teens that we've never met before. They might not know our youth, but they've seen it on social media and they've come in, and now some of them are even part of the group that we run. So those count for a successful event. And talking about our most recent event on Tuesday, which was National Youth HIV and Awareness Day, AIDS and Awareness Day, we posted something, a flyer that was created for this event, and it had 46 likes and 19 shares. So our youth were tagging other youth, and other youth were tagging other youth. So it is really word of mouth to get it out there. So that also goes to talking about the earlier question that was saying you don't want to follow random youth. You don't need to follow random youth. You can have youth that you already know tag other youth that they know, and then it just starts like an avalanche. Other things we want to talk about is we do use Facebook promotions. That is something that we've recently started, and that is something that we've seen to promote our reach up to 5,169 views. So that is a tremendous increase in what we used to have. And Hannah will kind of talk about that more.
Yeah. So that number, the 5,169, was our number for last quarter, and that's our total social media reach. So that includes, our Instagram, our Snapchat. Snapchat is difficult to get the analytics on, so that's actually more so Facebook. So Jenny talked about what's lit and what our successes have been. That's the dub, so some of our challenges. So again, this is youth language. This is how they say that something changed. That's a dub. So as you know, we can't be on 24/7. Although a lot of us are on social media a lot, there's certain work hours that we are only able to be doing certain things on social media. So the youth are sometimes on when Real Talk staff or other Real Talk youth can't be on. So that's something that is challenging. Analytics can be difficult as well. We've actually recently had some good luck. We've subscribed to the Hootsuite analytics, which have helped us. But again, that's something that requires a little bit of a cost. So again, increasing our reach without paying is challenging. Like Jenny said, having our youth share things is something that's really helpful, but as you can see as well, that sharing is something that they don't like to do for whatever reason. They don't like to share things having to do with Real Talk. We've gotten some feedback from them that this is partially because it's once they've become part of a Real Talk group, they kind of feel like that's their group. They get a little bit, protective of their group. So they don't always want to invite people to come to the group, and they don't always want to share things. It's also sometimes they don't want to necessarily be known that they are involved in a group that's talking about safer sex. They're oftentimes friends with their family members on Facebook or Instagram, and therefore sharing something about, the condom steps is not something that they're willing to share, even though they have the knowledge and are engaged with it. So they might like it, but they're not going to share it. Just reaching our teens is also a challenge. When you're posting on social media, as you know, you're getting sometimes, like you said, you have adults who are following you, or youth that are outside of that capital, like for us, outside the capital district. We have a lot of, people from New York City who are following us. So they're not necessarily our target demographic. Another thing that's challenging, again, we've spoken about, is that trends, they change really fast. So it's tough to keep, that finger on the pulse, especially if you're trying to do something a little bit more elaborate and really think about your post. Sometimes you just got to do a quick meme or a quick, picture, a quick video. One of the things that I forgot what I was going to say, but I was going to say that sharing things is something that we struggle with consistently, is asking them to share it. Oh, yeah, they're all excited about a project, but they won't share it. So we do find that if they are involved in something like a song or a video that isn't so explicitly related to safer sex or substance use prevention, that they will share something like that. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So this is just, we recently, like Jenny said, we actually, Facebook gifted us this $10 and said, hey, we want you to make an ad, take this $10. And we were really successful with it. So we decided to start allocating a little bit of money towards paying for ads to promote, especially when we have events. So our recruitment video, you can see here, we had on YouTube, when we posted this on our own without any extra funds put towards it to boost it, we got 105 views, which for us is awesome. 100 is always our goal for YouTube, so that was incredible. But then when we promoted it and put a little bit of money towards it, I think it was I don't remember exactly, I think it was $40 that we put towards it total. We wound up getting over almost 2,000 video views on that one through it being embedded on Facebook and shared on Facebook with our area. BARD, this is a substance use video that was an iStory that the youth created about abuse of Xanax, the drug Xanax, and they created this video. It was a reenactment type video, and again, we got 154 views on it before this is only, I think we used the $10 on the little gifted one, and we wound up with 794 views after we had paid that little bit of money. So even though it's difficult, we know that funds are tight, this is something that we have recently found has been successful for us. Even just a small amount of money, as you can see, can reach a significantly more amount of youth. And this is something that we would say that every little bit counts. So improvements. So some things that our youth have talked about making changes in. So Snapchat is like we said, it's difficult to get the analytics on Snapchat because they the posts only last for a short period of time. But also Snapchat requires that you have the equipment to do Snapchat, and our Real Talk Snapchat, we don't always, there's a number of staff people, so we have one phone. So they don't always get to snap when they want to, and so Snapchat is something that they have talked about kind of doing more type of stories. So kind of something that every time they meet, they create a new post and try and get people to follow that way. Facebook Live is another improvement that the youth have said they really want to start using more. We tried at our last event, our Youth HIV/AIDS Awareness Day, and I don't know if we've looked quite at the analytics for that and how many people we got, but while something's happening is sometimes when you can catch the youth. The day before, a week before, they might see that poster, but again, as we know, and as just is evidence by today, is that things change really rapidly for the youth, and they don't always have control over where they're going to be and when. So Facebook Live, hey, we're in the park right now. Come down. It's going to be fun. Get tested. Get a gift card. Get some information, safer sex supplies. So that's something that we're looking to improve on and use more often. A video series is something that the youth also have come up with, wanting to do a monthly talk show where it's something that people come back to over and over again. And this is something that we haven't done yet, but we're looking to do. They think that it will help our engagement by having, oh, well, Real Talk's monthly, monthly special or monthly video is out. And so you got to catch it. And so maybe that catching on will help people return as well. All right. And Jenny, is there anything else you want us to talk about? Okay. So thank you all so much.
Hannah, I got a couple of questions here. Number one is somebody asked, the name of the program that you were using for analytics. I believe you're using Hootsuite, right? Hootsuite gives you the analytics. And are you paying right now?
Yes. So we've just started paying for Hootsuite Analytics. Also use the free Facebook Analytics. So we find the Facebook, like when we're scheduling posts, we the Facebook one, you can tell what times of day the youth are on any given day, average. So that's what we use for that. But to get analytics, Hootsuite has been somewhat helpful with that.
Awesome. And here's the other question that I had is, I'm going to go back to the previous slide here. You were talking about improvements, Snapchat, Facebook Live, and creating a video series. Here's one thing. In terms of Facebook Live, you're using Facebook as a way for you to engage other teams. So which platform, based on your experience, are the ones that are using the most? Are they using Facebook more than Instagram or more Instagram than Facebook?
So Instagram, I think Instagram, they were saying that our teams use it more in the summer. I'm sure that's geographic too, but something, it's still really cold here in New York. So, but they use it more in the summer. So, that's it. Facebook is something that we use mostly to chat with our youth too. So when we remind them of groups, and we do find that they're still using Facebook, but I think Instagram has become much more of a, I would say they're using it more and more all the time.
Yeah.
But for us, Facebook is the easiest way for teens to message us. If they ever had inquiries or something, then Facebook was the way to go.
Okay. No, that makes perfect sense. I think one of the things that I would suggest is that, Instagram also have an Instagram Live. And so, and I think it's in terms of engagement, if you want to keep using the app, because the app is one of the apps that they use to engage with each other and communicate with each other, you can actually do the same thing with Instagram. And so when you can actually go on an event and, turn on your camera and do Instagram Live, and which is the nice thing about that, it gets recorded, so you can repurpose the content. So you can still promote the content after the event, which is really nice. The other thing that I was going to talk about, the monthly video specials that you guys are thinking about doing, that actually is not a bad idea. One thing that I would suggest, and it's actually worth trying, Facebook had something that is called Facebook Creators, in which what happens is you actually go you go and sort of actually, you pitch them an idea for a show. It's sort of a small sales pitch. So you actually answer a few questions, send it out to them, and they will get to approve you, meaning that if you're thinking about doing a video series of teens and youth that have to do with, I don't know, sex and HIV and substance abuse, but there's actually other, relevant topics that, for teenagers, if you think about it, there's nothing like that right now within the Facebook platform. So you will be actually providing something fresh and new, so you might have a good chance of getting approved. Now, how does that actually help you? It helps you a lot, because once you actually become a Facebook creator, every time that you actually post that, Facebook actually gives a lot of relevance to that. And anybody that follows your page, will get notified as soon as there is a new show. So in terms of views and reach and engagement, that will be a very cool thing to, for you guys to do. So that's another suggestion.
Thank you. That's a great suggestion.
Sure. And I want to see if there's anybody has any questions based on the presentation that you've seen so far. You saw some examples in how Real Talk is actually using social media, which is what's very important for you guys to see that. So we talked about some of the theory, which is the first part of my presentation, and now you actually got to see what Real Talk is doing and some of the results that they're getting. Do you have any questions? Anybody has any questions, comments, concerns in regards to the use of social media to reach teenagers? So feel free to post them, because we want to make sure that we get we were able to answer those questions. You have the chance right now to sort of actually see, people who actually is doing the work for teenagers to tell you their perspective, their experience. So how often do you post a day? That's one of the questions that we're seeing right now.
That depends. We try at least 3 posts a day is what we like to do for Facebook, and I think 1 for Instagram. So it depends too if we're having text group, which is the group where the youth will come and create their own posts for social media. It'll depend on how much content they come up with and what they have and how much they schedule for the coming week. It depends if they're working on another project, which they often are. They might not have as much time, but we shoot for 3 a day for Facebook, and then 1 on Instagram, and then we're trying to Snapchat. We're trying to work on. So
it also depends on. We do scroll through our feed sometimes on Facebook, and if we see content that other youth are sharing or providers that are sharing, we would share that as well. So that is something that we kind of create those connections with other teams, other providers to kind of make a better network of communication.
All right. Thank you. And here's one of the questions that I have here is that, can you give the names and or links to your social media pages? If people go to your website, realtalk1317.com, they can access your social media pages, right, from there?
Yes, they can.
Okay. So that will be the easiest way for me to sort of actually tell them that, rather than giving each, separate URLs for separate social media profiles. So if you go to the website, www.realtalk1317.com, from there you will be able to access their social media pages. Now, in terms of posting, do you guys get together on a weekly basis and sort of, say, okay, this week we're going to post, 10 pieces of content. We're going to put it in Hootsuite. And it's, 2 pieces are going to go on Monday, 3 pieces are going to go on Tuesday. Do you guys sort of actually get together and plan ahead, or how do you handle that?
I would love to say that we are able to be that organized, but no. We're a team of 3. So Jenny and I and Kasim, our media specialist, he is listening in with us. So we end up working on our own sometimes to get things out there, especially if we have, like Jenny said, other programs or doing events or things like that. And then tech group is really the one who gets together and does their social media scheduling, I would say, is more of the scheduling. So oftentimes Kasim will talk to them and say, okay, so this event is coming up, or this national whatever day is coming up. So what do you guys think about creating some posts about X? So that does happen, but as far as all of us getting together and planning it together, no, that doesn't happen that often.
Okay. And I think it's important that you mention that, right? Because we have something that is called the ideal way of doing things, and the other one is actually the real way that we do things. And so taking that into consideration, when we actually working with teens and youth, it's important that you actually keep in mind that, you might not get together on a weekly basis and plan ahead. And because of that, it's actually important to somehow have a strategy, because that you're not going to be able to get some of those things, done faster as you wish you could. So the other thing, too, that somebody's actually commenting here that it seems like we need to have a separate social media platform that is just for youth versus agency organization platforms. What do you say in regards to that?
So we have 2 pages. Our agency is the Alliance for Positive Health, and Real Talk is the program, the youth program that is at the Alliance for Positive Health. So we have a friends page, which is just us. I think our name is RT or something, RT plugin, and the youth created that. So that's where we have our friend page, and then we have our news media page. So we try to do posts to both of those, but we don't have separate. Our agency has their own social media. I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah, and I think that Yeah, I think the point was that if you're actually trying to reach teens, having a separate profile or a separate page dedicated to teens, it actually makes sense because the content is going to be totally different. Rather than actually trying to do it from the organization social media profile, it's going to backfire because you have a different type of audience. And so,
right.
One suggestion that I would make, because you have a Real Talk profile Facebook page, right? It's a profile Facebook page. You have the option in converting that profile into a fan page or a business page. The reason why I make that suggestion is because when you do that, you also are able to look at some of the stats and numbers if that's relevant to you. You might say, no, we don't need it, and that's fine. But I always recommend sort of actually, anything that has to do with your organization and business and targeting and communicating with your audience, if you do it from your business page, you'll be able to see a lot more information to be able to determine what's working, what's not. So, if that makes sense,
Yeah, we do have both because you can only get insights you can only get analytics from the business page, correct?
From the business page, that is correct, yes.
Yeah. So we do have both, and we try to, because our audience is the same for both usually because it's Real Talk as opposed to an agency versus a program.
Right.
We double post. We post to both of those, the same content. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a second question. Do you provide incentives for the youth to come, like make it a cool thing to be part of? Because they have trouble recruiting youth because of the other activities they have going on. So what kind of incentives do you have for them to be a part of this group?
Yes, we do have incentives. Incentives are very important. Oftentimes in the beginning, they're especially important because that might be the thing that links the youth to come, to incentivize them to come. And then after that, they become engaged and they enjoy it and the incentives become less important. But one of the things we do, especially with our tech group is considered a job. So we actually give $10 Visa cards for an hour of their work. So it's considered like a job. And if they don't come for the full hour, they don't get paid. So we do incentivize it. We do offer other incentives for different things to games and other things like that. But specifically for our tech group, it's considered a job. Incentives, unfortunately, are necessary evil sometimes.
And so for the tech team, you have, obviously, it's considered a job, but what about for the rest of the teams that participate or they're part of the program? What kind of incentives do you offer to sort of for them to keep coming, be consistent, and how do you handle that?
It's a great question. So we have monthly meetings, which are our community advisory board meetings, our teen adult coalition meetings, which I had mentioned before. So those monthly meetings, if they come, those are also an hour, and we pay them for their time. So anyone can come to those. We also have events. We have testing events. As Jenny mentioned, we had an event earlier this week for Youth HIV AIDS Awareness Day, and again, we recruit our teens to work those events. So they're the ones who are trying to recruit other teams to come. They're, doing the activities, things like that. So again, we will pay them for their time. So usually if they work an event, a larger event, they will get a $25 Visa gift card. And then for, the smaller things that they do, it's a $10 Visa.
That's really interesting.
I apologize.
I'm sorry, Hannah, go ahead.
Offer food, of course, snacks and drinks at groups as well. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Sure. No, that's fine. That is actually very interesting because for the most part, we want youth to be involved in some of the programs that we have for them. But the fact is being involved in activities, being involved in planning is a job. And if you think about it, actually paying them is actually a great incentive because obviously they are working, they're actually learning new skill sets, but at the same time, they also educated themselves about, sex and substance abuse and HIV. So there's a lot of good things coming out of them. And at the field time, they feel, in terms of self-confidence, self-esteem, there's a lot of things happening when they are involved in getting paid. And so they see the immediate results that they see is just getting money. they're actually midterm and long-term results when they actually start changing in mindset and behavior because they're going through this program and they actually help them. And so that's great that you mentioned that, because for the most part we tend to sort of actually miss that, and we just concentrate more on the incentives for them to come. But if you actually, the way that you actually are presented it, or the way that you present it to them, it's not for them to come, but be involved in some of the things that we're doing as well. So awesome.
Right.
I have another, yeah, and so you're getting a lot of questions. This is good. This is good. So I have another question here. Do you have any suggestion for tailoring social media outreach for recruitment for students? How do you tailor your social media outreach for recruitment for students or studies?
Okay.
For studies.
Studies? Oh, studies.
Yeah.
Oh, to get them involved in like a research study?
I'm assuming. Is that correct, Ray? Yes. You're saying yes. For studies, yes.
So again, incentivize it. I mean, that's unfortunately, and word of mouth, you know, the youth will bring 3 friends because they'll be like, hey, you want to make $10? Hey, come do this thing. So I would say that that's one thing that, you know, we find that works. And you know, just to go off of what Carlos was saying too, is that, you know, these are young adults, and a lot of our youth are, you know, have already big adult responsibilities, which include taking care of family members and sometimes helping with bills and things like that. So, you know, to ask them to come and to do something, and then to say, well, yeah, you're doing. We wouldn't necessarily ask an adult to come and work without an incentive. So we treat the youth as you know, with respect, in the same way that we would for adults. You know, they have busy lives as well, and they learn those skills that have to come along with the responsibility of needing to be somewhere at a certain time. And because our target population, you know, often doesn't have those skills, it helps to build those skills, like Carlos was mentioning before as well.
Yeah.
Right.
But let me ask you this, Hannah, because, you know, I know that you're talking about incentives for getting kids to be involved in terms of, you know, for studies. But in terms of how do you promote that, though? Because, you know, I think one of the pieces of Ray's question is, you know, how do you tailor your social media messages just, you know, for recruitment? I know that as an incentive you will offer money, right? But how do you position that? I mean, what kind of messages do you promote so for them to come and be interested besides the incentive? Is there any strategy that you follow? Any suggestions?
Mm-hmm. So one thing that we do during our TAC meetings when we have people who come in and talk about things like research studies, having them talk to teams, going where they are. Where is the location that this study is going to be taking place? Is it going to be somewhere accessible to them? How are you going to know if you don't ask them? So we ask the opinions of our teams, ask them what time should you be interviewed or meet up? Where should the location be? Who should be facilitating these studies or be asking them these questions? Are the questions that they ask or the activities that they do, is it youth-friendly? Will it make sense to them? Or is it too formal with words that they're not familiar with and won't engage because they don't understand what's going on? So that is also part of trying to get them to engage, kind of get them to those studies and have those things happen.
Yeah, the community advisory board meetings are very, very helpful for that, because we have people come to us all the time. You know, for example, we have a juvenile justice reform group which is looking to run a focus group because they have a disproportionate amount of young people who are involved in the juvenile justice system. So those people have these focus group questions, which they think are fantastic because they're researchers. So they think it's great, but they know that they have to ask the youth. So are these questions good? Are they not? And we're one of the places they told us they don't want us to be asking them the questions. They want someone who's been involved in the juvenile justice system to ask the questions. So we're going to be hosting a focus group at a barbershop, a local barbershop, where some of the owners of the barbershop are going to be the ones facilitating the focus group. So I guess that's a long answer, but if you're trying to get a research perspective, you've got to ask the youth, how do you do this? You know, what works, doesn't.
And to go with social media, asking them what should they be posting, what should the flyers look like, what should the posts look like that will engage them to participate in something like that.
It's amazing what you can actually find out if you actually ask the audience that you're trying to reach how to do it, right? And so, so learning about your audience is key before you do anything else. So awesome. These are great suggestions, but I have two more questions. So, and we are, we are actually very close to finishing here. So I'm going to ask these two questions, and we're going to end after these two questions. How do you engage youth, 18 to 24, during summer? Is it harder to get engagement with messaging since people tend to spend less time online? So how do you get them engaged during the summer?
We do lots of events. And we try to get those people that are not engaged in anything in the summer to be our helpers. Of course, we try really hard. A lot of our youth want to get jobs, and we try to help them get jobs, but unfortunately, they don't all get jobs. So you kind of try and hone in on those couple of youth that you can ask to really help spread the word and be the person that is going to go on Snapchat and go on Facebook Live. We have testing events where we're out in the park. So we're out in different areas where the youth hang out. They tell us they're going to be, they're hanging out, and then we bombard social media with, come and get tested, come and, learn more about Real Talk with the incentives. And I don't know if there's anything to add to that. I'm trying to think of something.
So adding on to that, collaborating with community providers that have a big role in summer for the team. So summer employment programs, collaborating with them, getting them to share things on their pages, because that's where the teams are going to be. That's who the teams are going to be in contact with a lot. So creating those collaborations and connections, and then spreading it through social media, and then doing it in person as well, because that's how you create the presence. It's not just the social media, it's the social media and seeing you in person and doing those activities and doing conventions.
Yes. So here's what I like to do, and I think it's important that you mentioned that. It's a combination of social media and offline events. So when you actually combine those two, you're going to see great results, right? So during the summer, people are outside, let's be outside. But you can use social media as a way to document what you're doing as well. And so I'm going to actually, because we actually are, we're done with time. But I don't want to actually leave without answering this question, because I believe this question is very important. So in about 10 seconds, if you can answer this question, how do you engage your audience without the fear of a stigma of your content?
That is a fantastic question. And
can you answer in 10 seconds?
The only way I could answer that is to say that you really can't avoid the stigma. The only way that you can do it is by making it funny, making it something that's interesting to them, so that it isn't in your face. HIV testing or STDs, there's something fun or funny about it, which will make it a little bit less scary, hopefully.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Real Talk, and Hannah and Jenny, for the opportunity. I learned a lot from you, because it's one of the best ways of learning how to actually do social media for reaching teens, when you actually have someone who does it on a daily basis. So thank you so much. We appreciate it. And thank you, everyone, for being here. But I'm going to hand it off to Candice now. So, give us a couple more minutes before you can leave, please.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. That was such a great presentation. And being in my late 20s, I really resonated with all the content presented today. So just some really quick next steps before you guys leave. If you actually do need any help with your social media strategies for your teenagers or to engage teenagers, we do offer TA to help you with that, and Carlos has helped many grantees with that TA specifically. So if you're interested in getting TA for social media campaigns and strategies, just make sure to first reach out to your GPO. They will help us. Let me go to the next slide. So that talk to your GPO about your TA needs, and then you can request TA in SPARS. And the good thing about it is that the TA is all costs approved by SAMHSA. They'll take care of that cost for you. Finally, if you have the time, please fill out the NADAC CEH quiz presented here. Just click on the link after you're done. And once you submit your answers, you'll receive an email containing your quiz and your certificate for your records. I have one final note. We do have a webinar next week on using technology for engagement and retention. That's a question that came up a lot in the last few questions and answers. Carlos will be our presenter for that webinar, so watch out for a registration form coming your way through email. Thank you, everyone. Have a great afternoon and enjoy your day.